Nova Scotia's new progressive conservative government outlined a list of ways it plans to fix the ailing healthcare system in its first throne speech yesterday, and mental health was on the docket. The government says it will grant all Nova Scotians access to mental health services as part of what it says will be the most progressive mental health support system in Canada. Meanwhile, the issue of mental health in Canada has been a hot topic among political leaders, especially following World Mental Health Day on Sunday. But it's not only our political leaders that are concerned about mental health and addressing it within Canada. According to new research by Ipsos, 2/3 of Canadians believe we are in a mental health pandemic. Well, joining us now to talk more about mental health and stress, especially at the workplace, is Brendan Caldwell, Director of Caldwell Securities Limited. Brendan, welcome back to Forum Daily.
Thank you, Nima, and thank you for this topic.
Yes, it's a very important topic, Brendan, and you work in the world of business, finance, and investment, so we know stress is no stranger to you. So what have you seen lately in your field?
Well, it's interesting, Nima. Most people think that the stress in my business has to do with the markets going up and down. Oh, I couldn't imagine that kind of stress, the uncertainty of it. And well, there's an element of that. That actually isn't most of the stress. Most of the stress is interpersonal, dealing with people, whether clients or co-workers, helping them to achieve their hopes and dreams. One takes on a lot of stress from other people. So it's not the stress like a black swan is not what people think it is. It is a random event or can seemingly random event that isn't obvious, isn't what someone from the outside looking in might expect it to be.
That is a very interesting perspective, Brendan. What would you say are the consequences at the workplace or even in the world of investment if mental health issues are not addressed within it?
Well, mental health, I would say, is an inside job. Mental health is an inside job. And the important point is for me at least, is to developing a vocabulary around it, a way to be able to say to oneself and to the world around, hey, I'm not okay. Because even now, with all of the focus that's gone on mental health, there is a stigma around that, and it can take many forms. I think it's got particularly bad, if there's, for want of a better term, during COVID, as many people have talked about, because we've been so focused on work. There hasn't been appropriate boundaries between work and home, the usual shut-off valves that have allowed people to escape from the stresses they have at work or the stresses they have at home. The boundaries have been blurred and those escape valves are not functioning.
Now, that's a really good point there, Brendan. Too many people suffer in silence, especially when it comes to the workplace. What is your advice when it comes to addressing this issue?
Well, I think there's a few things. There are some basic things that I think we each need to do for ourselves. And it is, the term they've come up with is self-care. But what it used to mean is getting a decent night's sleep and eating properly and doing the basic things that we need to do to look after ourselves. Again, being at home for a year and a half, I think a lot of us have had a harder time now reacclimatizing with that. I think also being honest with oneself as to how one's actually feeling. As people who've been at the office, as I have for 18 months, see a whole bunch of people coming back that weren't there before, or if you've been at home, and now you're going back into the office environment, both situations can be stressful. And we may react rather than saying, what is it about this situation that I'm stressing about? I'm just using the return from COVID as an example. What is it about this situation that I'm actually stressing about? And expressing that to oneself and to another human being that one trusts. I think that's really important.
And something that can lead to stress is the feeling of being overwhelmed, especially at the workplace, Brendan. So how can individuals deal with this feeling of being overwhelmed?
I think it is very, very important to really be honest with oneself. The temptation to say, I'm all right, I'm all right, I'm all right, isn't healthy. I have a very dear friend who's just in the last couple of days had a heart attack, and he always would internalize the stress and say, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. It's not his fault he had a heart attack. It's just the stress around what we're dealing with through this last year and a half, and now this transition, this inflection point. I think one needs to be super, super aware of how you're actually feeling. And I think you'll find that people around you are going to be very understanding. I've encouraged and tried to help people cut each other some slack, because I think everybody's taken this COVID period with a degree of stress that we haven't really articulated to ourselves. And I think we need to begin to take stock of that to be healthier going forward, inside and out.
Some very important points there, Brendan. Thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you, Nima, very much. Be well.